Hello, everyone. Welcome to Introducing Podcast. I am your host, Smart Video Girl, here. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for, just showing up for me. I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate you showing up for me, showing up to this space, being willing and open to learn new ways of thinking and new ways of being, because that's what we do here at Introducing Podcast. And, if you've been following, last week I took a break. I took a whole break. And let me tell you something. I was enjoying life. I was just having a good time. I kind of cleared up some space. And so when I cleared up the space and I kind of rearranged my little area, and I fell in love with it. I didn't want to leave. And I've been binge watching Netflix series and things of that sort, and just reflecting and living life. And I said to myself last week I was going to pause and not do the show. So I am back this week. Hello, how you doing? Everything is good. We are great, and I'm so happy to be back here. And let me tell you something. It was a push to get on the show today. Okay, it was a push to get on the show. I was like, because you get comfortable and you start doing things, and you just be like, I'm just going to pause. But I am here today. And so thank you so much for joining us. We are continuing our series on the 12 universal laws, and we are on the seventh law. So, and our regular tradition, who can tell me what the first six laws are? And I want to do a recap because we're halfway through it. So if anybody can give me what the first six laws are, that would be wonderful. Yeah, the first six laws. If you give me the first six laws, then we could talk about them. And we're talking about the 12 universal laws and how we can use them and apply them. um, Actually, the application of the universal laws in our personal growth journeys, okay? Because that's really what it's about. How do we conduct ourselves? How do we use these laws in order to grow? You know what I'm saying? If you want to be in alignment with the laws, you don't want to go against the laws, okay? Because when you're on alignment and flow with the laws, then naturally those things are going to unfold as they should, and pretty much in your favor. That's just the way the law goes. So, uh, who can tell me those first six laws? I know it's been a minute. So here we go. I have something prepared for you guys. It's not going to be on the screen because I don't have time for that. But I do want to go over the first six laws. So the first six laws, we started off with the law of divine oneness, and I said that everything is connected. Okay, everything is connected. This foundational law reminds us that we are not separate from one another. Okay, we are not separate. We are different. All right, but we are not separate. We are unique. All right, and it is the collectiveness, it's our interdependence that really drives home this particular law. Then there's the law of vibration that says everything is a frequency, everything is a vibe, honey. Everything is a vibe. All right, everything is a vibration. Everything is vibration. So, with that being said, then we know that everything, all thoughts, all feelings, all actions carry a vibration. So, where are you vibrating? Check your vibration. Then there's the law of correspondence that says your outer world reflects your inner world. Okay, like a mirror, and vice versa, because it works both ways. So look at your outer world, and it could reflect what's going on in your inner world, because sometimes we can't really tell. But if we're open and honest, and if we're willing to be open to seeing and not judging our outer world as a reflection of our inner world, then we can now create a different internal state so that we can start to see and manifest things outside of us. All right. Then there's the law of attraction that says like attracts like, but there's a caveat to that. Remember, I said it is who you are. It's not what you think. You attract who you are. So be mindful of that. And then the fifth law is the law of inspired action. And it says faith without works is dead. Okay. So when you get that nudge, when you get that feeling, when you get that inspired action, it's not about being busy, but it's about doing those little things that matter in the moment that are going to help you get to the next step and where you're going. And then, of course, the last law that we talked about was cause and effect, and that's the ripple effect, right? What ripple are you causing, right? Because you are the cause. Okay, you are the cause. Things don't happen to you, you make things happen. Okay, you are the magician here. All right, so those are the laws. And thank you, Cortland. Cortland did have the laws. So one is vibration, correspondence, attraction, inspired action, transmutation of energy, cause and effect. Yes. Is that seven? Okay, wait a minute. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Yes. All right. So that's where we are. Um, that's where we are. So very good. So we covered a lot. Goodness gracious. We've covered a whole lot of things. So actually this is the eighth law. Look, I can't even keep track. I believe it's eight. So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Yes. And so today is eight. Right. The transmutation of energy. And the transmutation of energy states that energy never dies, it is always changing. So we have the opportunity, working with the lower correspondence. Like I said, if you're willing to be open to reflect on your outer life as what's going on in your inner life, then you can transmute that energy. You can transmute some of those things that's going on and change them to things that are beneficial to you. All right. So today, though, we are talking about the law of what are we talking about today? The law of compensation, y'all. The law of compensation. So I know some of y'all like that. The law of compensation. All right, there we go. Has a technical difficulty. So the law of compensation states that you reap what you sow. Okay. You reap what you sow. That is what the law of compensation basically says. You get what you put out. All right. Now, it's not necessarily the cause and effect, right? Cause and effect is kind of like the ripple. That's what you send out. And the law of compensation is that return. Okay. It's almost like that return. So it works together. So, especially when you're doing things or like when you're working and when you're putting in effort, right? The law of compensation says you get out what you put in. All right. And we can definitely see that in things like effort. Like I can apply that to going to the gym, which I have been slacking on, but I did get out there today and get some movement and some exercise in. But the effort you put in is what you get out. Okay. The effort that you put in is what you get out. That is the law of compensation. All right. And then it encourages us to be intentional about what we put out. That's, excuse me. That's the power of this law. It encourages to be in us. It encourages us to be intentional about the energy, the services, the effort that we put out. Because whatever you put out, that is what you're going to get in. So you put out little effort, you're going to get little effort. All right. That works in relationships. It works in business. It works even in money. Okay. That is why, and in certain spaces and places, like when you give, then they encourage giving because this law of compensation is a thing. But you have to understand where you're giving and what you're giving, and understand the energy, right? The vibration, the intention behind the giving. All right. But what you give out will come back to you. And usually it comes back to tenfold. It comes back in greater. So this is the law of compensation. All right. So how much time are you spending? All right. What effort and what's your intention with this time? So, you know, like I said, I've been binge watching Netflix, right? And I just caught up on Bridgerton. Okay, excuse me. I just watched all 3 seasons of Bridgerton. Don't judge me, okay? Judge your mama, don't judge me. And I loved it. And part of my it was very low effort, but I in turn received this appreciation for storytelling. And so, as someone who creates, as somebody who writes, somebody who creates documentaries and series and commercials and things of that sort, it was very worth the effort to relax and appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was well paid for that time spent. I don't know about you. And so what it does is it makes everything that I do intentional. Every effort that even my rest is intentional. That effort of getting sleep so that I can be well rested, that's law of compensation. The more sleep that you get, the more well rested you are. I mean, that makes sense to me. So this is what the law of compensation is, okay? And let me make this distinction because this is a little different than for instance, like karma, okay? So karma is like on a soul level, right? This is like cause and effect. It's more of the cause and effect than the compensation. The law of compensation deals more on the material, right? On the material realm, okay? We're talking in the spiritual realm, okay? So cause and the karma is more of a cause and effect. If you want to talk about this, but this is more of tangible things and spiritual things like peace and freedom, right? These are the things that you're paid with when you put in effort to protect your peace. Because I put in a lot of effort to protect my peace and protect my freedom, and I am compensated for such. All right. The misconception about this is that you have to work hard, right? And the law of compensation is like you have to work, 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 work. You got to put in a whole lot. But that is not the case. I want that to be evident. I want that to be clear that this is not saying that you have to work hard or that you have to do a lot, right? But it has to be energetically aligned. It has to vibrate. It has to resonate, right? When you do things that resonate, like when I look at the law of compensation, I think of inspired action and cause and effect, right? A cause and effect and inspired action, right? So there is a action um, that is inspired, and when that action is activated, the law of compensation is then activated as well. And that frequency is carried out through the cause and effect. It's going to ripple out. You see what I'm saying? And there's going to be some type of effect along the way that's going to bring that compensation to you. They then work together. It's like mathematics. I like that's how I see things. It makes it easier for me to understand life and all of the nuances of it. But it's about your inner integrity and energetic alignment. Are you doing things? Are you sowing seeds in fertile ground and things that are going to be fruitful for you, that are in alignment with you? This is where authenticity is important. If, for instance, let's think about Florida, where Florida is known for growing oranges. Let's just use that as an example. Florida is known for growing oranges. And with Florida being known to grow oranges, you're not going to try to grow oranges in Maine, because if you sow orange seeds in Maine, they're not going to grow. You can plant 1,000 trees, orange trees in Maine, they won't grow. But you can plant one tree in Florida and it will be fruitful. And so it's not about working hard or doing more, but it's about being in alignment and integral about it. And that also shows up in nature as well. You see that. So when you do things that are aligned with you, when you sow into the things, when you sow into your craft, when you sow into your family, when you sow into your community, when you sow into yourself, okay, you get compensated with growth. You get compensated with the joy. And so, and that's that's why I want to be clear. These uh things that you're reaping aren't always material. It's not always money, okay? It's not money. It's other things that are just as valuable to you as money. So you have to know what matters. Okay. You have to know what matters to you, because that is going to help you make sure that you're sowing into that fertile ground. All right. So, why is it important? Why it matters? Because it helps shift our mindsets from scarcity to abundance. We have to understand that when we really prioritize the things that are important to us, and then we in turn pour into those things, we will know it's automatically it is part of the law that you will reap those things in great abundance, right? And so when we are intentional about what we are doing, we checking our vibe and it's all good, we're pouring into ourselves in this way, then we can see the fruits, the compensation in our lives, right? So that's when you can do that check, right? That that lower correspondence check. All right, let's see what we got here. TPAC said cause and effect can be viewed very closely with you reap what you sow, and compensation because cause has an effect on someone else and vice versa. Yes, I agree with you. That is true. And that is right. And so cause and effect and law of compensation go together. Cause and effect is more like that ripple, right? And when that ripple comes back, that's the compensation. Like that's how I feel it. That's how I feel about it. So I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. Cause and effect. But again, that reinforces the law of cause and effect, which says that you are the cause, right? You are the cause because you have to sow, right? You are, yeah. So, all right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep this moving. So, we're going to get right into our journal prompts because sometimes you don't want to belabor the the topic. We're talking about the law of compensation makes it says you reap what you sow. What I want to do is enlighten you to it, empower you so that now you can use this law in alignment with you. So we're going to get to the journal prompts. So the journal prompts can help us discover what it is that we're ready to receive, right? So then we can sow those seeds. All right. We're going to sow those seeds. So get your pens and papers out. Get your pens and papers out. All right. Pens and papers, journals, whatever it is that you're doing. If you don't, if you come back later, that's fine. So this is for what am I ready to receive? So the first one is what have I been consistently, okay, what have I been giving consistently in my work, relationships, and self-care? What effort? So I'm gonna just use my Apple Watch as a example. So I've been working out. I've been on this journey of working out, and they recently added this thing where it says effort. It's like so you get to determine your effort. How much effort are you giving consistently in your work, relationships, and your self care? How much effort are you giving? Not what you're getting, not what you think you're receiving already. All right. Because if you're looking at what you're receiving and you're not happy, law of correspondence, then you need to check your inner. What are you giving? What are you sowing? Because it starts with the sowing, it doesn't start with the receiving. All right. In what areas of my life am I ready to receive more compensation? All right. So remember, we're going to think about compensation in a different way. So, what areas am I ready to receive more compensation, more joy, more peace, more freedom, more creativity? Okay, more expansion. All right, more relationships, more intelligence. That's compensation as far because those things are valuable. Those are things that people cannot take from you, especially when you own them. All right. So, where are you ready to receive more compensation? Of course, money is on the top of the list for everybody. Or maybe not, maybe not, because I know peace and joy and freedom. Give me that. Give me that. All right. Number three, am I sowing from a place of authenticity or fear and performance? Now, we talked about this before. Am I sowing from a place of authenticity or fear and performance? So, where are we? Where is this energy? Where is your vibe at? Where are you vibrating at so that you're attracting what you be, right? Where's your vibration? Are you vibrating at the highest level of frequency, which is authenticity, or are you vibrating are you sowing from a place of shame, pride, fear? Okay. Where are you sowing from? And I'm going to stay right here for a second. If you are familiar with the map of consciousness, and I'm going to share that, it has all the different levels. It looks like a rainbow. And I think the bottom one is fear, and then the top one is like self actualization or something like that. But in between there are levels of this. And I actually talk about some of these in my book. But if you're operating from say you're operating from a place of willingness, because that's on the list. If you're operating from a place of willingness, if you're sowing from willingness, there'll be more opportunities for you to be willing to learn and grow, right? When you are operating from fear, when you sow fear, your actions are based in fear, you're going to have more opportunities to be afraid. You're going to be compensated with more opportunities to be fearful. Okay. So, where are you? Check that sheet. I think I'm going to bring it on next time so we can talk about that. I'm going to show it on the screen so you can see it. Where do you see yourself? I think that's a good thing for you to do every day. It's like, where am I on this chart? Where do I feel today? Am I willing? Am I accepting today? Am I a joy? Am I fearful today? Am I is there pride in my way? That is something. So there's a map of consciousness. I'll share that. So when you check that, then you can determine how you're feeling. And if something resonates with you and you don't like it, then you have the power of transmutation of energy to shift it and plant a more fruitful seed. That's all. All right. And the last one is, what does receiving look like for me right now? Now, that one is very important. This one is very important because this kind of goes back to what I was saying. What does receiving look like for me right now? What does it mean to receive? Is it is there a willingness to receive? Are you open to receiving? Are you grateful for receiving? Are you oh gosh. I'm just reminded of my own personal experience in this very moment of receiving and being open to where the the reaping will come from. Okay. Because a lot of times we think it will come one way. And it has been proven to me time and time again that when in need, when in need, the things provided may come from the most unexpected places. Okay. So, what does receiving look like for you right now? What does that look like? Okay. What does that look like? And for me, it's just being open, you know, receiving is willing. When it comes to receiving, And on the levels of consciousness, I'm probably on willingness. I'm probably on a willingness, okay? And acceptance. Like that's where I'm at. Okay. I'm digging out of my pride and my shame of asking for help and things of that sort, because that's a place of, that I'm sowing seeds of people not helping when you don't show up for yourself, or when you operate in a place of fear or shame, when you are thinking about what receiving looks like. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Now, I am grateful and I'm learning to be grateful, but I'm also learning where some of my limiting beliefs stood in the past. And it's important to know that, because if you're not aware of them, they'll creep back up into your life and take you over like a sandstorm, okay? And you won't know what happened because you never paid attention to it. But I get it now. I know exactly what that is. All right. So those are the four questions. Those are the four questions. All right. Question one. I think Corlin is answering question one. Correct me if I'm wrong. It says, "What have I been giving consistently in my work, relationships, or self care?" And you're saying consistent follow through and optimistic energy. Right. Okay. All right. Nice work. Nice work. Follow through and positive energy. I love that. I love that. All right. Faith of a mustard seed. We have to know when to plant it. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. You have to know when to plant it. You have to know when you need to plant that seed of faith. Yes, that is a very good one. Thank you, T, for that one. I appreciate that. I like that one. All right. So, yeah, that's what I got for you guys this week. That's what I got for you this week. Don't forget, I am a published author, and my book "Do the Work, Keep the Faith" is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble's Books a Million, and all places that books are sold. I appreciate you all for those who have purchased it, those who have read it, who have given me their feedback. I greatly appreciate you all. I love you. It means so much to me, uh, honestly and truly. So thank you so much for that, supporting me with the book. If you have the book and if you have taken the time to read the book, please share your feedback with me. Send me a message, send me a DM. Let me know what your thoughts are about the book. I really greatly appreciate it, and thank you for those who have done it. I am going to be speaking at the Will of Wellness retreat that is coming up in August 22nd through the 24th. And this year's theme is Welcome to the Wilderness. So I will be talking to the women at the retreat about, what would we do for our freedom? What are we willing to pay for our freedom? And then lastly, I recently did an interview with Miss Lisa Council and on the podcast Shift. And let me tell you, that was a blessing. It was a blessing, a blessing, a blessing. You can go and check out that interview. Why self discovery is key to healing. Okay, we're talking about the book, but we're also talking about just why it is important to really be reflective. Okay, I saw a post earlier that someone says, if you're talking about the self work and you're not doing the self work, you know it's just all a facade. So we gotta really step into doing this self work, because I think the information is out there now. We know enough. We know enough, and we need to now do enough. We need to do it. We need to step into it. We need to learn to be honest with ourselves, okay? Because at the end of the day, uh, if we don't do it for ourselves, um, there's nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do it for you. And so you really have to examine that. What are you willing to sow into yourself in order to reap the benefits of discovering your truest, authentic self? That's the question I leave with you today. So make sure you check that out. It's on YouTube. I shared it on my Facebook page. I think I'll try to cross promote it here on YouTube as well. And I want to thank Lisa and I want to thank Portia, her engineer, for having me. It was such a great conversation. It really touched my soul. You really helped me see that the impact of the book, and the spaces that it can benefit and help people. So thank you so much for that. All right, guys. That's it. That's all I got for you today. That's all I got for you today. This is introducing the podcast. I am Smart Video Girl, right? I will be here next week and we will be talking about, I don't even know what the next law is, y'all. Let's see. What's the next law? I have no idea. Um, I don't know. But with that being said, I want to thank you for being here with me. Remember, compensation isn't about chasing the reward, right? You're not sowing the seed just so that you can eat the fruit, right? We want to be good fruit. We want the fruit to be, we don't want no clones or anything like that. We want authentic fruit with seeds, okay? It's about being in alignment with your truth and letting your energy lead the way, okay? So, from a place of love and trust that the return will meet you where you are. So, until next time, I'm Smart Video Girl. Thank you for listening to Introducing the Podcast, New Ways of Thinking and New Ways of Being. I'll see you next week. Peace.